Let's continue our talk about what's going on in this election with the founder of Latino Wall Street and Republican strategist, Gabriela Barasfi. Gabriela, I know we're looking at Dearborn, Michigan. We do want to talk about the Hispanic vote, obviously. Was it yesterday?
He was in New Mexico yesterday,
in New Mexico.
Rallying, really in front of a large Hispanic crowd that many doubted would show or appear or still support President Trump after the Puerto Rico comment by the comedian at the MSG rally. Kind of where does, Hispanic support, is it staying with President Trump, or how big or how bad was that gaffe that happened at MSG in terms of maybe turning off Puerto Ricans?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me. That joke definitely had an impact, right? We know for a fact, actually, my husband was there at the Madison Square Garden rally, and what he said was that actually, people did not think it was funny. They were booing. They were looking around at each other in a very uncomfortable way. The way most of the media portrayed it was that everyone was cheering and everyone loved the joke and everyone was in on it. And that's just not true. So we need to be clear about that, right? The fact is people really did not think that was funny to say an island was garbage. There's definitely
Gabriela, I hate to interrupt you, but if we can hear President Trump, let's listen in.
Okay. They don't mind killing people, but if they had to do it themselves, she wouldn't fight. She's a coward.
Harris said that kind of language is disqualifying for someone running for president. Do you agree? Mr. Trump, do you think what's happening in Gaza is a genocide?
Sir, what conversations did you have recently with Prime Minister Netanyahu about bringing peace to the Middle East?
We had a good conversation. We're going to bring peace. You're going to have peace in the Middle East, but not with the clowns that you have running the U.S. right now. You're going to have peace. You're going to have peace in the Middle East, and they should have peace in the Middle East, but not with the clowns you have in the Middle East. Let me tell you, what you have people in the Middle East that aren't doing their job, and you have people in the U.S. that aren't doing their job, and when they get it together, when they get it right, you're going to have peace in the Middle East.
Have you talked about a specific end to the conflict with Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I always talk about things like that. Thank you very much, Evan.
All right. Okay, Gabriela, again, pardon us. We're kind of going in and out when we hear him. That may have been the last we hear of him from this stop. We'll keep track. But continue your thought. And if you could also expand your thoughts on why more Hispanics tend to be voting for Republicans generally these days than, say, 20, 30 years ago.
Yes, so we've seen a shift for sure, right? The more Latinos are voting for a Republican candidate than in 2020 and 2016. And that's definitely because if there's something we have experience with is corruption in our home countries, in our governments. Unfortunately, that's what we see and what we have experienced for the most part in Latin America. So seeing the Democrat Party and a lot of the things they do, going after their opponents and all the controversial things they stand for, we are opening our eyes and realizing that this is very similar, right? It's very similar than what they do in our home countries. So that it has taken a while, right, for us to realize that and make that connection, but it's happening more and more. We also stand with the conservative values, right? Our culture is very pro-family, pro-faith. Our culture is not about having abortions. It's all about having kids and transgender. Those are things that they don't happen in our countries. And we're very Catholic. So that definitely has a lot of weight on our decisions and our values and who we stand for. So yes, the Puerto Rican joke definitely had an impact, mainly because some of the mainstream top Puerto Ricans like J-Lo and Bad Bunny have endorsed Kamala because of that. And of course, they have influence, and we know that. But the actual Puerto Rican community, right? I went to the rallies in the last few days. My family is Puerto Rican. The actual Puerto Ricans, not the Hollywood stars, the top 0.01% of Latinos, but the actual people still stand with President Trump.
So you're saying that Kamala Harris's rally yesterday that featured J-Lo is not going to persuade you to vote for Kamala Harris?
Definitely not me. I mean, honestly, I really feel bad for people who make their decisions based on a superstar. Like, that's not a very intelligent thing to do, right? You have to make your decision based on what's best for the country, what's best for your family, what's going to be the best future for your kids. So that's exactly what my family stands for. And also the community. We found Puerto Ricans at the rally where we were in Atlanta, Georgia, and we spoke to them and we actually interviewed them. So we have the documentation of it. And they still stand with President Trump. So could it influence some people who are hardcore fans? Sure. But the actual people who care about the things that matter most, I don't think so.
What do you think President Trump's closing message should be, given all the controversy with the Madison Square Garden? What should his closing argument be to the Hispanic community?
Well, actually, I got the chance to be backstage and meet him, and his first thing that he told us was actually, "I love Puerto Ricans," right? Because we told him our thoughts, and I really wish there was a camera there to capture that, because that's really what he says behind the scenes. He's a very warm, very charismatic, and he really loves Hispanics, and you just know that because you just have to go to his hotels. He gives us jobs, he partners with us, he puts the CEO of Goya in the White House. Like, he obviously believes in us, so people just need to look at the facts. I think his closing argument should be, "I stand with Latinos," right? And just literally mention facts, because something that happens with politics is that some people have a hard time to believe in something politicians say, even though he's not a typical politician. But how about we look at the facts, everything he has done for the Latino community, for the working class, not a Hollywood star, any of that stuff, but the actual people. I was at the Hispanic Roundtable in Nevada, and all the construction workers, the union workers, they were all there saying how they did better under his administration. So I think he needs to lean on that and say specifically, "I stand with Latinos, and I stand with them because look at everything I've done for them and that I continue to do by giving them jobs, giving them opportunities." I actually know plenty of people who work at the Trump Doral in Miami, and they're very happy with their jobs. I'm very grateful.
All right.
Well, Gabriela Barapsi, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your perspective.
Thank you.